just clarify what you know about the situation with Frampton?
You want some clarity?
Yes.
Look, as far as I'm aware, just in conversations with Bill, it was an unfortunate situation for him. He was in bed asleep. He lives with Pete Laddams, and that's the detail of it. So, as far as that's concerned, it's a move on from our point of view.
He's obviously known about the situation since August 3rd when it happened. When did he come to the club to tell you guys that this had happened, or when did you find out about it?
Well, I found out about it yesterday.
Is there any concern that he didn't come and talk to you guys about this beforehand?
No, not when one of our players is in bed asleep and wakes up in the morning. So.
Does it provide an opportunity though to kind of remind your players about protocols and things like that and talk to them about it?
Yeah, there's been a number of opportunities for us to talk about them, or examples of players letting their club down and letting the game down. Really, it's unfortunate. It's a tough time. I feel for players, staff, everyone involved, because it is a tough time. But there's also a clear understanding of what those protocols are, and unfortunately, some aren't living by.
He was obviously put in a situation where he could have been a part of this breach, and the crowd that didn't get involved, and he stayed in his room, stayed in bed.
Yes. Yep.
Can you talk us through that?
Not really. There's not much more I can say about it. Really, it's an incident that's happened, and fortunately, from our point of view, one of our players behaved the way he should have. So to move on.
Is it getting difficult for players to follow the protocols? These boys that probably just wanted to celebrate a game and have a normal life. They weren't breaking the state law. So is it hard for them to follow these protocols?
Yeah, I think it's tough for everyone that's in the industry. It's in South Australia there are different rules and regulations for society to what we're living by, but that's what it is. We're in a situation where we're lucky enough to play the game we love, and we're representing our organisation. So it's a requirement that we live by them. But it is tough. It's there are moments where you think, well, I could jump off the plane, I'll just jump in an Uber and I'll head home. No, you can't. Or you head home from training, and you can have two to a car. You can't give someone a lift. So there's a little bit in getting organised and making sure that you're focused the whole time, but majority seem to be doing it right.
You got a team for us?
I've got a debut for you, yeah. So Butts will debut. We just gave him an opportunity to kick a goal to get in. He missed, but he's playing down back. So hopefully he learns from that one if he gets an opportunity on Sunday. At the moment, we're still waiting on one. So Talia's probably 50-50 at the moment. He's going to train tomorrow. He got some run-throughs done today and moved pretty well. Obviously a really important one for us with Hawkins being in such good form. Tales has taken that match-up in the past and done really well. It's a huge challenge, especially the form he's in at the moment. So we'll give Tales as much time as he needs, and we'll make a decision around that probably tomorrow. It's soreness, but he's got soreness through his knee. So it's an ongoing thing that he manages, and ultimate professional gets himself up each week. It's just got to a point at the moment where he's really pushing to play this week.
Is it the same knee you hurt in bed last year?
You're testing me there, to be honest.
If Tales does play as Jake Kelly, that probably makes way.
It will be at this point, yeah. So at the moment, as I said, we're 50-50. We haven't locked that in, but yeah, Jake will probably miss if Tales gets up.
You got here and your first sort of mandate was defence first, and build everything from there. Yeah. Is it fair to say the defensive side of things has held up okay, but teams are still scoring relatively heavily? How do you view, I know it's hard to maybe put a success win-loss, but is the way you've structured up defensively and what you've taught guys, is that working?
No, not to the level that we want it to be. It's going to take time for us to get that where it needs to be. So some people, when you talk defence, we're talking our full ground 18-man defence. That hasn't been to the level. We've allowed teams to rebound the ball from their back 50 to their forward 50 far too easily, and we sit right down the bottom of the table in that statistic, which is one of our KPIs. It's going to be our challenge going forward. As we develop as a group and we're able to connect our side up, it's going to become one of our strengths. We're working on that. We just finished a session today which had components of that around how that works. It's been the toughest thing for us as far as a work on this season, without being able to really work our contact in that particular drill or drills around that. It's been tough, but we've got a lot of work to do on that. Our back six have stood up under some immense pressure. We're averaging 50, 60 inside 50s a game. It's a tough gig for those guys. So from a back six point of view, or seven, we've been impressed and pleased with the way they've gone about it this year, but we put them under far too much pressure.
Is it a concern then that the sort of the one little priority, in terms of development of players and development game plan, that the priority has been the one that's fallen down?
Yeah, it's not a concern, but it's definitely something that we've got to put more work into. So we'll spend as much time as we can working through that without forgetting about everything else, because the game, it's amazing how you can focus on one and the wheel turns and you forget about the other. So this season's been an interesting one from a training point of view, a challenging one. We'll go into what will be a really solid off season. We don't know the details of that as yet, when the players will be available, and we want to make sure they freshen up. But I can tell you our guys are pretty keen to get to work early coming into 2021.
Did you think you'd be that far off when you took over? Did you think that you'd be so far off the pace with the defensive side of things, that aspect?
No, not when you come in as a first year head coach and you know where you're going to work and how you're going to work. We know what we need to train to get that to the level where it needs to be. I haven't seen a group improve at a rate of knots without training it.
You started the week with a round of golf. Why did you do that? What was the thinking behind that?
It's a mental break. It's a freshen up for our group. There's a lot of things we have planned, a number of weeks out, where we'll look, 2 or 3 weeks if we can, if we've got the schedule, and we'll plan on mental breaks, physical freshen ups, just a different facility if we can. Normally we'd do a lot more of that. With protocols this year, it's been a challenge. Actually being able to use a venue that's not our own. We have to get authorisation to do that through the AFL. So we looked this one. You're probably looking at a week and a half out. We thought, okay, there's an opportunity here. Maybe a couple of days where we freshen the guys up.
Have you seen a change following that, having the players take that break and have that mental break?
It's not too dissimilar to what we've had. We've had fantastic weeks where we've worked on the training track, and we've been really pleased with the work we've got done and the attitude of our group, and we've stuck tight through what has been a really tough time. They're in good form this week. We've got Tex playing his 200th, so the group's up and about. He's such a passionate member of our group that it brings us excitement to the way we train, and that was in the pouring rain today. So, but it hasn't been too dissimilar to other weeks. We've felt really good during the week. We just haven't quite got our game to the level, and if you're 5% off at the moment, it's too far off. And we just learnt that in a training session, just in a few of our drills. The boys bought it today and went hard. So, hopefully we can translate that into something we'll bring against Geelong on Sunday.
Do you want Tex here next year?
Sorry, I missed that.
Do you want Tex here next year?
Yeah, of course we do.
So
Yeah.
You're aware of what he said the other day?
Yeah, and we had a chat. Straight away I saw the article, so I made a quick phone call. I said, we value you, don't you, brother? And he was like, yeah, I know, but it's just about what's my role and so on. He's an incredibly valuable member of our team, and he will be next year. It'll be an interesting season for him because he wants to leave a legacy at this club, and he will. But it's how he goes about that into next year. He's got some amazing young players coming through underneath him. He's an incredible role model. So he'll be a very important part of next year.
What do you think his legacy will be?
Well, he's got a number of them I can't talk about. He's the most passionate footballer, one of the most passionate footballers I've worked with, just for team, for club, for everything the Crows family is. He can't hide that passion. He says it how it is. and he just does everything to the letter. He goes hard, trains hard. He just loves his teammates. That's the legacy. He's an amazing team member. Amazing team member.
With Darcy Fogarty out, obviously he's out of the side because of fitness. Has he regained some of that now? Do you see him and Tex now to cooperate in the same field?
It wasn't really fitness. It's the key wording of that is match fitness. He hadn't played a lot of footy, but the only way to get that's to play. So we took him out for a number of reasons. Some of the values we play by, we didn't feel like he was quite seeking the contest at the level we were after. That was a week. We'll look at maybe bringing him back in this week. He's worked super hard on the track. We've had some really deep conversations around what we're looking for over the next 5 weeks, and then what he's then prepared to do over a break. Tex is a really important part of that as well going forward. How can he mentor Fog and turn him into the player that we know he can be?
Are there players playing for their future in the next 5 weeks? No?
Yeah, well, there's always players playing. I mean, all season we're playing for, basically for each other, but ultimately we're playing for a contract when it comes down to it. There'll be changes to the list sizes across the league. There'll be changes to our list, even if they weren't being reduced. List sizes has always changed. There's a draft coming up where we bring in new players. So, there's some pressure coming. Ultimately, we're looking for guys who are going to play for their teammates. So, there's 5 weeks now for some to impress.
Why someone like Corey Atkins at 100 games earlier in the year, missed large chunk, clearly has the ability but not in favour at the moment?
Yeah, and Rat's similar, in a similar position to Fog in that there's a few things in his game we're looking for, and he's working on those at this point. He's really close, so knocking on the door as far as coming back in. It's a challenge in that space because we're looking for these guys to show it. There's one thing to talk it, but you've got to be able to show it. Now we're not able to play games. Our guys will play tomorrow in a practice match where we're getting together with Hawthorn and Port and try putting 2 teams of 18 together. So we've done well to be able to get that for our guys, but it has been a really challenging year in that space for those on the cusp or those not quite in the side to be able to prove themselves. It's been a different year to previous years.
Do you expect Bryce to be next year as well?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, similar in that's a tough one for Bryce because at the moment he's not in the window of selection. We haven't picked him over the last few weeks. We'll have discussions with him over the coming weeks as we have right throughout and just get a feel for where he's at.
In terms of going forward, you mean? Or?
Yeah, depending on what he wants to do next year and how he wants to go about that, whether he wants to work with our younger guys and still be an important part of our team.
So you don't think he'll play though?
No, I think that's still part of that. He's still playing football at the level. Similar to Tex Walker, we expect Tex to lead by example. We expect Tex to lead off field. We expect him to be a mentor for young players, and part of that has been able to perform as well.
The Nichols round this week, what does that mean to you personally and the club?
Yeah, it's a really important round. I find it amazing that we need to single out one round for it. I feel like it should be, recognised in every round. But look, for me, it's getting an understanding of our history, and getting an education around what actually transpired. It's also recognising some of the amazing Indigenous talent that we've got in our game, and even in our side alone, I love working with the guys. They're incredible talents. We'll have Shano playing this week and Tyson. Unfortunately, Benny Davis won't play this week. He's had a little setback, so if there was a chance he was going to come in, it would have been great. We also wear the jumper we're wearing this year has been designed, and we went through the history of that and the story behind the jumper, and the story is incredible, the way it was painted and what it recognises. So it's a really important week for the AFL and a really important educational piece.
One last one from Rolly O'Brien. 1 hit outs by 25, lost clearances by 25. So just hitting to the wrong spot. Have you spoken about that generally?
Riley and I have well and truly spoken, and the mids group. We've had a conversation around what that's got to look like. We need to connect it up. To win hit outs like we did, and not get the clearance numbers we were after. There was a combination of just a connection between mids and ruck. It's a work on. It's one we're hoping to get right this week coming into Geelong. But there's no doubt the Bulldogs played outstanding in that area of the ground, but we didn't help ourselves with that.
Thanks, guys.
Can I just ask
Yeah.
one more question? Sorry, Shane McAdam has come up next. Can you just give us a
Yeah.
line on what you like about him this season?
Everything. I think what we've seen Shane go to the next level. So he's got a better understanding around what's required. It always takes time to get yourself to that level as well. Even as a first-year player, he's slightly maturer than the 18-year-olds we get in. But for Shane to get an understanding of what the level is, and then perform it now. I thought the weekend was one of his best performances, and he came off being ill during the week. I asked him about that, and I said, how did you perform the way you did? He goes, I think I just didn't want to let the team down. I knew I'd been sick. So, to see him performing the way he is puts a smile on your face. It's a reward that he deserves. He's now going to have to put his head down in the break and make sure he gets that right again. Because when he heads home over the break, home's slightly different environment to what he works in here. And that's a challenge for a lot of our young guys. But for him, we're really excited about what his future can be.